Time to bring in our next guest on the show, and that is going to be our track and field insider, Mike Courson, who has been a longtime track enthusiast and also has written for a number of publications across the state. One that you can catch right now for sure that you need to for track and field is at Catch It Kansas. You can check out catchitkansas.com. The track tracker. All right, Courson. So, like, if anyone goes and checks out the track tracker, like, what do they find on Catch It Kansas?
Yeah, so you're going to get the top 16. So all these years we've had the top 4 kids at regionals go to state. And so 16 kids go to state. So we ranked the top 16, all 6 classes. I think it's 18 events. And just new this week, we added the regionals in. So coaches, kids can go in and see how they stack up in those regionals. And of course, that rule changed last year where it's now the top 3 plus the 4 next best, which is kind of more fair. So, but we still keep it top 16 because that's what you're going to see at state.
Have you had a good, I mean, obviously you've had, you look at the numbers and just the list that you have, but like the response of like people turning in results, is that getting easier?
Okay. So back in the day, things like mile split, very hit and miss. So we were one of the leaders and we wanted all the results on our page. So back in the day, if you did not have your results on our page, you didn't get in the rankings, which encouraged people to do it. Now there's various websites, mainly Mile Split, that post those. So I do get emails basically all 4 corners of the state. So always enjoy seeing some of the same names every year, corresponding with them. But the results are in the web-friendly era. They're out there now.
I like it. All right. So like when you're putting all this information together, like you talk about like getting help, but like Carol Swinson, like how big is Carol for you?
I brought these to show you. So his lists are available online, various places. I think mainly Sports in Kansas. He's gone over there. He's got the statewide list. Wow. So it doesn't tell you, I think he's got the year breakdowns on there with little asterisks, but his list is different than ours because it's all class. And it has the all-time rankings, which are just huge. If you think about any sport, you're a sports guy, you like records, it just gives you something to compare against. And if you think about football, basketball, volleyball, who did they play when she scored 44 points? Who was he throwing against? Track and field's not that way. With this data set, even if there's wind, even if there's bad competition, it's leveled the playing field. And because of Carol Swinson, you can say, wow, that was the fastest time since 1988. And I don't think you can do that with any other sports.
That's awesome. So you mentioned there's already been some like phenomenal results that have come in that you're usually not seeing until, like when we get to regionals and even state. So take me through, start out with pole vault. What have you seen in pole vault so far across the state?
Forget this year, Cole, right? 15 years. You've had 2 kids in 15 years. 4 kids all time in Kansas have cleared the bar at 17 feet. 2 of them since 2011, 1 in 2024. Last weekend saw 2 of them. So you had, it's 17 feet is crazy. I'm in Barton County. We've got the Hoisington, the Ball kids, 13, 15 feet. That's good. So 17 feet is so exceptional. So Mason Hill, Gardner Edgerton Sr. goes 17, 6.5. And then Dylan, that was on Friday night. Next day at the K-State Relays, or maybe it was the same day, but there's a 2-day event. Dylan Cross, a Blue Valley Southwest Senior, goes 17.5 inch. And he had actually, I think, opened the meet at 17 feet. So when I saw that first result, that's one where you're like, did somebody make a typo here? But then he's done it twice this year, which I'm not even sure some of the other 17-footers have done. Girls side, we've seen some crazy good stuff. So there's only 8 girls ever over 13 feet in Kansas history. Got 2 of them this year. So week 1, here we go again. Elena Jenny, Olathe North Senior, she's at 13 even. And last Friday at the Blue Valley Relays, I think on her own course, Senior Amelia Hansen, 13.5, which is number 2 all time in the state of Kansas.
Are we seeing mostly, upperclassmen, or are these returners, or what are we seeing?
I think with some of the field events that require a little bit more strength, you are seeing upperclassmen. I think all 4 of these are seniors. So that goes to show you, what do I know? But I don't know that a freshman can have that core strength. And if you talk about the technique involved in pole vault, you're running high speed, putting yourself in the air, then basically flipping upside down. incredible speed, handwork, core strength. So I'd be curious to see if a freshman could ever do something like that.
What about discus? What have you seen?
Once again, they're not quite on the all-time list, but you're comparing this season. We're only in week 3 of the season, comparing against last year. Collegiate senior Logan Clay goes 191.0. Just took the nephews to a meet in Pratt, and we were watching the early rounds, and they're 60 feet, 70 feet, and they thought that was actually impressive. I said, if you ever see the big dogs, they're getting up towards 200 feet. So Logan Clay, senior collegiate, 191 even. And then Ark City senior Carson Palmer goes 186.10. And of all of last year, there were only 3 throws better than what Logan Clay has already done this year. So he can add a few inches, a few feet. Obviously, that goes up, and then we start talking about the all-time list.
What else has jumped off the page for you so far through the first couple or 3 weeks?
Little disappointment. Great meets in Pratt last week. You had Hayes there. The Western Athletic Conference absolutely stacked, especially the girls' side. So you had potential for some just killer sprint events, events, jumping events, and some field events, especially on the boys' side. So I'm watching Wellington high jumps. Asked the coach, "Is Drew Zika here?" Nope, she's up at K-State. So I did not get to see, and she would have been phenomenal in the hurdles. She's one of the top long jumpers in the state. But in K-State, she goes 5, 8, and 3/4 over the high jump bar. And anytime you start getting over 5'7", it's getting into elite category. I don't know that we've seen anybody that high in at least 2 years. So I was disappointed because that's where we went and we wanted to watch that, and she did it, but just not where I was. So I got to watch South Central. Went out to the Class 1A Division I state championship. South Central was there. Thought maybe it was their time to win a state championship. Their kind of all-around stud is Jack Hurd. He comes out on track season, 2:11.7 in the javelin. That is number 14 all-time. We've talked about some of the distance kids. Another one, I got to watch sub-state basketball over at the Larned sub-state. That was Class 3A. Got to see Holcomb advance to state. That is your 2-time defending 3A state champion. Brody Denniston comes out in the 800, just under 155 as the all-class leader. And that's only more impressive if you think about how good, especially the Class 5A runners are. Last time I was on, I talked about Capen's senior Daniel Enriquez. Thought he was going to be the top distance kid in the state this year. Topeka Seaman senior Brody Anderson has actually came out, and I think he's ahead of Daniel Enriquez in all the distance events. But then you have a Class 3A kid who comes out and is ahead of both of them in the 800-meter run.
Well, and I heard Jack's hitting like 850 in baseball too for Buckland and South Central. So yeah, the kid can do everything.
You can do everything. A couple of teams I was going to mention just off the week 2 stats. Just kind of always think, hey, I get to talk to Cole. I don't know why I wanted to wear my eye patch. KC Piper Pirates, fun to watch that program, up and coming, and then you see just a ton of youth coming up with that program. So they're way out of my coverage area per se, but going to be fun to watch them. Manhattan's on the edge of that coverage area. The girls' side absolutely stacked. Last year you had 2 Division I sprinters and 2 other good girls, which made for an easy 4x1 state record. All kinds of freshmen and sophomore in my rankings. They come out last week, didn't see this one coming. 4x8, they are now number 6 all-time in Kansas. And then on the same with the relays, the Blue Valley girls, their 4x4 went number 6 all-time. So you think about, and I was looking through my state record book this weekend, gee, how many records do we have that go back to the 1980s, the 1990s? That's my generation, but that dates me. But you see the strength training, the diets, the coaching, the kids are so much better today. How do these records still stand? But when it comes to the relays, when it takes 4 kids to do it, I think we've seen so many of those type of records fall, because you could have had 1 stud in 1988, but to find 4 of them is something we're seeing more of today.
Courson, good stuff, man. I appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Cole Rife. See you in a couple weeks.
All right. That's Mike Courson, our track and field insider. Check out the information at catchitkansas.com for the track tracker.